You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, Days of Our Lives fans. It is Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I have got your February sweeps spoilers for Days of Our Lives. I'm going to unpack these for you, running from least to most interesting, because that's how I like to do things. That's how I roll. And hey, if you haven't, please reach down, click subscribe so you don't miss any of our updates. Now, let's dig right in. So, least to most interesting, bear that in mind. Stephanie Johnson, Wendy Shin, and Tripp Johnson organize a Valentine's Day themed scavenger hunt / geocaching event. So I'm not sure when exactly the replacement writers took over from Ron Carlivati, but here's what you should know real quick before I dive any deeper into these sweep spoilers. I do not think that Ron wrote these sweeps. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. So here's why. On IMDb, Ron's last writing credit for the soap was January 15th. You'll remember last year, the WGA strike ran from May 2nd to September 27th. For most of the soaps that, run on a more usual schedule where they shoot about a month ahead, which is Bold and Y&R and GH, they had scripts to carry them through July. So like at GH, they write about 10 weeks ahead. So I believe Days probably writes also about 10 weeks ahead, but then they're shooting 6 months ahead. So it's a lot more complicated to do the math on Days of Our Lives to figure out what's happening. But if you count backwards, knowing that Days shoots roughly 6 months ahead, January 15th, when Ron's last credit was, minus 6 months would equal about July 15th. That should have been about when Ron stopped writing. So that says to me, like with GH, he probably had about 10 weeks of scripts sitting around. That makes sense because, he used to be the head writer over at the ABC soap. So with the strike ending on September 27th, 10 weeks of scripts, if they also wrote ahead, would carry them to about December 2023, which means we could have replacement writer material on the air all the way till early June 2024. That could be when the end of the run of the scab writers were. We'll see. They do things differently at Days, but in some aspects, it runs just like it does at other soaps, other than that aggressive 6-month shoot ahead schedule. So what that could mean is that we may have 5 more months of replacement writer scripts coming. So all the replacement writer stuff just ended on the other soaps. So it's kind of interesting. At Young and the Restless, the head writer crossed the picket line and kept working. So they had complete continuity. And Bold used 2 of its regular writing staff and got them to cross the picket line. So it's really weird over at Days. And I feel like that's why we're having this weird stuff like geocaching and Stefan banging Ava and Alex just up and falling in love with a very bad person. So if you've never been geocaching, by the way, it's fun. I just wonder if they're doing it so people are out tripping around Salem to find a dead body or a stash of drugs or something to do with this drug ring storyline, because one of the spoilers I saw for Sweep said that the hunt has some unintended consequences. So it's kind of a random hobby to put into a soap script, so I hope there's a payoff. Otherwise, it's just bizarre. And I say someone who does this, I say it as someone who does this for fun, but it's not a soapy or a dramatic activity. It's just fun. It gets you off the sofa and outside to breathe fresh air, but it's not for everybody. So next on the sweeps list for Days is one couple heading down the aisle. This should not be shocking news. We know that Chanel and Johnny are planning Valentine's Day nuptials. This coming week, Johnny asked Chad to be his best man, and we have Chanel and Paulina beginning to plan the wedding for them that's coming very, very soon during sweeps. But there's also word that there could be a second couple putting a ring on it and saying, I do. Because this next tidbit of Day Sweep spoilers is about Theresa and Alex. And it says, Theresa finds an engagement ring in Alex Kiriakis's pocket. Remember, he mentioned to Marlena, maybe he should marry her. And then he was kind of like, no, that's too soon, this and that. But it sounds like he goes ahead and buys a ring or gets one out of the safe over, the family mansion. So it sounds like he's working up the nerve to propose. And then Theresa finds the ring. That'd be a huge mistake if he proposed. I do wonder if her grief will get the better of her when she sees the ring. And it's the culmination of what she's been trying to do with all her gold digging, but she's feeling so guilty that seeing that ring, I don't know if it's going to compromise her sobriety or send her running to Brady, or I don't even know. So another spoiler for Sweeps says John and Marlena celebrate their romance. It's kind of a weird spoiler. It's not their anniversary. The 6th time they said I do was August of 2018. So maybe this is just generic romance, and some kind of pawn thing comes out of it, because it's not exactly a sizzling hot February Sweeps spoiler. Maybe it's just lame because we have replacement writers. I mean, Ron Carlivati may like to redo plots, but he usually does Sweeps up real good. Murders, mayhem, chaos. This Sweeps is sounding a little bland and vanilla to me. We'll see. So the last spoiler I have for Sweeps is peculiar. And it says that Stephanie has an awkward anniversary breakfast surprise for Steve and Kayla. I mean, if Stephanie fixes them an omelet and walks into their bedroom and I have to see them naked, I'm not personally going to be a happy camper. I'm all for the mature couples, but I don't need to see them undressed on my TV. I just don't. Save that for the younger people. So also, we have some other things on the roster for Sweeps spoilers, although the main segment of spoilers didn't include it. But I'm pulling spoilers from a bunch of different places now. So we do know that Clyde's drug ring is set to implode in Sweeps. We should have the end of Clyde tormenting Salem and Stefan and Ava, but I don't know if we're going to see the villain in a body bag, although I'd be totally down for that. I am anticipating recast Gabby maybe by the end of February Sweeps to confront cheaters Stefan and Ava. Even if Stefan stops at the last minute and zips it back up, they were just about to do the deed and they did everything else. So, and they may not stop. They may go ahead and go for it. And that would just be so soapy and messy and very, very much of a Sweeps thing to do. We've also got a confirmed spoiler from executive producer Ken Corday that Sloan Peterson is about to find a way to give Nicole Walker back her baby. I'm assuming that Corday is revealing some of these Sweep spoilers because Ron Carlivati didn't write them, so he probably doesn't want to promote or share them because they're not his material. He may not even be happy with them and is just stuck playing cleanup from what the Scab writers did. I did a standalone video on how I think that Sloan can give back the baby without getting busted. I'll try to remember to drop it at the end of this video. We'll see how it goes. I do suspect she's going to come up with a way to get that kid back to Nicole without getting herself into Statesville and without revealing that it is really Eric Brady's kiddo. So we also have got to see Everett and Jada face to face in Sweeps at last. And of course, she thinks his name is Bobby. There's the fact he was cheating on her with Stephanie, and it's all very awkward. That might put a little bit of a damper on Stephanie and Jada's friendship, even if Stephanie didn't know she was the other woman sleeping with Jada's husband, who then decided to buy her a ring. Remember, Jada mentioned that ring was causing issues. Well, that's the ring. We know he got her and he had it on him when he went into the coma. So I'm certain we're also going to get deeper into Paulina's cancer story in Sweeps. It's very curable, but I do expect some complications and other drama, especially because they have delayed her surgery. We're also looking towards Nicole and Holly's return, maybe by the end of Sweeps. We're hearing that Tate and Holly are, back in just a few weeks. And that's all I have for Days Sweeps spoilers. I have to say that the bulk of these spoilers is kind of lackluster. I'm also worried Sweeps will be lackluster just because Ron Carlivati didn't write it. Love me some rerun. All right, that's all the spoilers I have. Please drop your comments on what you're excited to see in Sweeps. Definitely click subscribe if you haven't already. And come back soon. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I'm here talking Days 7 days a week.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.